Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. Myra Salcido, and I'm with the University of Texas Permian Basin. And this is my home office in my kitchen. And in a previous video that I just sent around, I neglected to mention block quotations, which are long quotations. In the MLA style, if you have 4 lines or more of a quote from somebody, you indent that quote on the left side. The indentation is 10 spaces, and it has no quotation marks. The indentation of a block quote, and I will put a sample paper up with that, indicates that this is a quotation. Therefore, there's no quotation marks around a long indented block quotation. Now, if I were the king of MLA or queen of MLA style, I would just say, oh, use quotations. Why make it confusing? But that's just the nature of the beast, and that's how it works. Okay, I wanted to mention the next paper. I have several 1302 online classes right now, all in different places because some started at different weeks of the semester. So for some of you, this is crucial. The research paper, your second paper, 8 to 10 pages, is coming up. And what that means, it must be 8 pages to the bottom of 8 pages. You will be able to do it. Believe me, if you do enough research, you will be able to do this. And there will be a final page with works cited, all the resources that you used for the paper. So if you are trying to narrow down a topic, try to pick something that is not a moral issue like euthanasia, right to die, to pick when you want to die, or abortion. Is it right or wrong? Is it moral? Should stem cells be used? Those things are quagmires to get into. You could write a 25-page paper on either of those things, having to consider both sides and all sides and issues and whether it's right or wrong, and then pretty soon you're bringing in all kinds of sources, and it's not a good thing. Narrow down your topic. For example, if you wanted to write about scandals in sports, that's huge, that's broad. The whole history of it, what are you going to do in 10 pages? You need to pick an arguable topic. So you could talk about, should steroids be legal in sports? Should you be able to wear certain types of tennis shoes? Or should certain supplements be legal? And you can start out with a news site just to get an idea of where you're going, to see what's in the news right now. Even if you want to talk about immigration, whatever you want to talk about, you can type in sports, steroids, news, Google that. See what kind of issues come up. Pick one issue. Don't try to do everything. You think it's going to be 8 pages, I got to do all this stuff. So I have to just get a lot of words out there. Well, that's not the way it works. So don't touch your face. I just did. But I'm at home, and I am sort of self-quarantined today. Not because I need to be, just because I want to be. So now that I'm completely off topic, this can happen in a research paper. Don't do what I just did. Don't touch your face and don't go off topic. So if you find a strand in news, you can use a newspaper source or a magazine source in your paper. You just have to also use academic sources. Legitimate scholarly sources. You're going to usually find these in the UTPB online library. So you would go to the top of your page of the UTPB homepage and look for library, click on it, and then you get, I'm not sure what it's called right now, Falcon Search or something like that. You'll get a search bar, and you can enter in your topic, say steroids sports, and hit the search and see what comes up. And you will get you will get electronic free digital books, academic books. You get an option of searching databases. Take that option. The best thing is called Academic Search Complete. It will bring up pros and cons and all different issues of your argument, most recent papers, journal articles, and the best ones are peer-reviewed. So you could do all that in the search. When you get into databases, make sure advanced is clicked and peer-reviewed. Click that and then put in your topic and hit search. This is what I want to see. I want to see academic book and at least 3 academic journals, and you can have some news articles. Do not use random websites. Just don't do it. You don't use blogs. Anybody could write a blog. Wikipedia, I could go in there and put some mistakes in there for you. But Wikipedia is good as a jumping off place like news is. Though you can actually use news articles, but consider some will be biased, and so you might look at more than one news article. So, where was I? I'm not going to start this video over. I'm already 7 minutes into it. But try to use legitimate sources and not websites that are blogs or essay websites where the essay is already written by some person that's random. It should be .edu, .gov. And in your paper, you will need to introduce the argument. You will need to take a stance. You cannot write a whole paper and end up with saying, after considering different perspectives, I don't know which one is right. If you don't know, don't tell anybody. You need to sound confident and take a stand on an issue. Present the issue. Put in your thesis, your argument statement. And it might contain the words therefore and because. And I will send out a PowerPoint on this. So if you have your introduction, your thesis statement, describe any terms that people might not know about, define them, use the English Oxford Dictionary online, and or the Merriam-Webster. Don't use anything you have to pay for. Define words, and then you would put the definition and where you got which dictionary you used in the works cited page. So you got your introduction, you got your argument. Then you start to get into your side of the argument and give, they would say in a 5-paragraph paper, which don't believe in very much, you can find 3 reasons why your topic would be right. And then you have to find somebody that totally disagrees with you and quote them. You have to find a naysayer. If I put that in there, feedback, where's your naysayer? Who would argue against you? And if nobody would argue against you, you don't have an argument paper. So, you will have to have your stance, maybe explaining your stance, 3 issues on it, perspectives that line up with yours, and you could quote people that you find in research papers, in books that agree with you. Then you got to find at least one person that disagrees. You have to quote that person. Then come back and it's that person disagrees with you as the counter argument. Then you're going to come back with a rebuttal and rebut that argument and say, this is why, even though they may be legitimate in thinking this, that, or the other, this is why my stance is better. And then you hit your conclusion. Conclusion should lead back to the thesis statement, just expand on it a little bit, reaffirm it a little bit. But if I were to take 8 pages, lay the first paper down, lay the 8th page down, look at somewhere in your first page should be your thesis statement, and somewhere in the last page should be a conclusion. They should relate. And as long as you have your thesis statement, I write it down on an index card or a sticky note or something and put it somewhere. When you're writing, if you get way off of that argument, then you're probably getting into deeper waters than you need to be. But there is a formula to it, and you don't have to follow it. If you're a real hotshot writer, and I have some students that are, they have written the whole paper and nailed the thesis at the end with the conclusion at the end. And I don't advise you do that unless you're a real expert at writing argument papers. It's like a debate. It's an argument that could be used in a debate because you're considering other sides, and then you come back and say why your side is better. So it's just not the whole history of steroids in sports or anything. It would be a case. You could put a human face on it. Say in 2019, this or that happened according to such and such a newspaper. This occurred. This is why it's an issue and it is relevant today. And then you can go back and look at other cases or other people's perspectives on this issue that agree with you. Find somebody that disagrees. You must find somebody that disagrees. Go back and wrap it all up. And I will have more on the research paper, but it's to give people an idea who are saying, I don't know how to narrow down a topic. I don't know what to put in the paper. And so you don't get led astray into trying to write the entire history of scandals in sports. So I'm making videos today, and I will probably see you again in the next video.